All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. Am I talking correctly?
Yes, dear. You're doing wonderful.
Okay. I'm here with my husband. That's my husband, Pat Devaney, fellow realtor.
Good morning, Jackie.
Drone
How are you today?
operator.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good.
I'm doing fine. What do they
doing
say
fine.
when a woman says fine?
Watch out. Watch out.
Shout out to my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. We have with a special guest today, Milnes Engineering, Construction, and Survey. We have Lexi Langen, Business Development Leader, and Lindy LaRue, Chief Surveyor. Hi, Chief.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
Pat is familiar with the title Chief, right? At home and at work.
Work, yeah. I used to work with all the
He
chiefs.
drove the chief.
Yeah,
Wouldn't you like somebody driving you around?
absolutely. I would love it.
All right. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m. on the Real Estate Roundtable. We have a full-time real estate office with many exceptional realtors. We have been listing, selling, and appraising real estate for 50 years.
Wow, 50 years. During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, we have a live webcam up on the roof shooting at Dunmore Corners, and we get thousands of hits a month on that camera from all over the world.
Oh, fantastic.
Look us up on social media. We're pretty much everywhere. And our radio shows could be found at jruddy.com, mobile-friendly jruddy.com. And we also have them on podcast apps, most popular podcast apps. Search for The Real Estate Roundtable with Jackie Ruddy, and you'll find it. Or go to my website, jruddy.com. Check the radio tab out, and they're all listed there. View our listings, search the MLS listings by going to jruddy.com, jruddy.com. Okay, Lexi Langen, Business Development Leader. Would you tell me a little bit about Milnes Engineering, Construction, and Survey, please?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having us. We are Milnes Engineering, Construction, and Survey. We've been in business for over 65 years. We're a fully family-operated business. It's on to the third generation now. We are up in the Endless Mountains of Tunkhannock. It's a beautiful setting, and we do, service all over NEPA, so, and a little bit into southern New York. But, if duty calls, we'll be there.
So you do a lot of really big projects, industrial, commercial, as well as residential.
So we do mostly commercial for our construction side and engineering. And the residential, we have Lindy that goes out to do the survey.
All right. And Lindy's here.
Lindy's here. He's
Chief Surveyor.
Yes, good morning. How are you today?
How's it going?
It's going well. We do quite a bit of residential surveying, as Lexi had said. Our engineering, we also do residential land developments for larger subdivisions. We do quite a bit of stormwater permitting, water withdrawal permitting. We also do sewer design for treatment plants and water collection systems as well.
And I can see that you have a hazardous job because your arm is covered in, what is it covered in?
Oh, it's covered in poison ivy right now.
Oh.
It's healing. It's getting better though.
But it's you get into the woods, literally.
Oh, absolutely. There's no place that we won't go as a surveyor to be able to find a corner monument.
Okay. So is there really, if somebody's purchasing a property and the lot is clearly defined by bushes, fences, there's no need. And if they get their hands on the deed, it tells them exactly what the dimensions are. So there's really no need for a survey, right?
That's a common myth that I hear quite often. So I would call those bushes and shrubs the occupation line of that particular property.
What they did 80 years ago is a lot different than what we can actually do these days.
Absolutely. And, what happened 80 years ago with measuring techniques, you have to think that they may have been out there with a compass and they may have paced a property. They may have had a tape measure. They may have been chaining at that time. And today our technology has just come so far that, we're able to measure so much more accurately than what they were, in the past. Even 20 years ago. The ability of the GPS systems that are out there now have just come so far that we're able to get in areas that we never would have been able to with GPS technology 10, 15, even 5 years ago. But, from 80 years ago with chaining, these surveyors were out there, you can imagine, on different topologies. They're trying to come down a steep mountain slope with a 100-foot tape measure. They're measuring a slope distance, or they're breaking tape into a shorter distance, and depending on how steep that is, they're breaking tape every 15, 20, 30 feet, and it just ruled in error, over time. So when we come out now, we're able to measure, much more accurately with that horizontal distance that we should be measuring with. A lot of people will come out on a property, just like you said, and measure from hedge to hedge, and it may be down a slope. Well, they're measuring a slope distance where a surveyor will measure a horizontal distance between points. The house we live in now, it was a two-family when we originally bought it. We renovated it, but we had it surveyed on the front. Now there's a fence in the back, and the fence looks like it's going nice and straight. But when you get to one part of the property, it's 2 feet on the guy behind me. Then you get to the other end, and it's 2 feet on mine. So the fence is actually crooked. And then we had the neighbor, the little old man who was next door, and he says, "Oh, that's my fence." "That's my fence. Oh, my fence." But he passed away, and we had it surveyed, and it was my fence. But
we never told
We never told him because, he was a nice little old guy. So anyway, we had the survey done, and they put the pins in the lawn, and those little pins with the pink tag on them, they tend to get lost. Like if I spray painted the sidewalk, it would wash off. The pin just seems to, I don't know where it goes over the years. I think the gremlins come and take it in the middle of the night or something.
Ours is missing, isn't it?
It's in there somewhere. But we need you to find it. So what I did was I took a grinder and I ground into the sidewalk where each pin was. And now it's funny because when I'm walking the dog outside, I'm looking down, I'm going, "Oh, that's my property line right there." So I know exactly where it is. But I couldn't do that in the backyard. I don't know how you...
Absolutely. That I see that all too often, where we'll come out and an individual landowner will tell me, "My pin is there, my pin is there." And we'll take a magnetic locator, because most pins that are set are going to be made of some sort of ferrous material, and we'll be able to find it relatively easy. And it won't be there. Or there'll be a horseshoe or a pair of pliers. I have a truck full of tools that I think I've gotten just from digging in people's backyards now. And, what we try to do is, once we end up finalizing our survey, we will set a 3/4-inch diameter rebar, and we'll put a plastic cap on it, that yellow plastic cap. And if we're in a residential area, we'll set that cap right about at grade, because we don't want your lawnmower or anything else to get destroyed on it. And on the map, we'll have our bearings and distances, but we'll also show your home on that map. We'll show other physical features of the property, those occupation lines that we spoke of earlier, and all those maps are to scale. So when you come back out as a landowner, you can pull your map out and you can scale from that map, from those physical features that won't change. I mean, your foundation, your house isn't going to move, hopefully. We hope. If it does, again, call us at Milnes. We can come take a look at it. But if not, you'll have at least some sort of availability to pull a distance back from another physical feature that is on your property.
Once a survey is done, I had one done, say, 40 years ago. That's it, right? One and done?
You would think that. Again, 40 years ago, technology was different, but it also depends on how that survey was recorded. One of the things that I tell all my clients is make sure you have your survey recorded. So a customer may call me and they may ask for a survey to be done. I complete the survey, I hand them their map, I hand them a description that they can take to their lawyer, but they've already purchased the property. They're getting a survey after they've purchased it, perhaps, or they're getting a survey before they sell it. And if they don't take that map and have it recorded and filed in the courthouse, then that map is just out there. So we may be able to find a corner monument that has a survey cap from a fellow surveyor, another company, and we can look at that, and we will then go through the courthouse to see in our research process if there is a map recorded. And quite a few times, there won't be. Now, luckily, it's a small community of surveyors. A lot of us know each other, and we're able to call, and generally a surveyor will send a map out to us from that particular job that they've done. But putting that map on record helps your ability if there is an issue with that property, because that is of record. That will come up in your title search. When you go to purchase the piece of property, it will show on your title insurance that, yes, there has been a survey completed there. And it's just best for all parties involved, not only you, but your adjoining parcel owners as well, to have that survey recorded.
There seems to be some resistance when it comes to whether somebody's selling a property or buying a property. There's a lot of resistance to having a survey done for one reason or another. I think a lot of it has to do with cost. So, and that common misconception that I started the show off with, that you get the deed, tells you the dimensions, you're good, that's all you need.
Absolutely, and I like to advise everybody the same, that you can pay for a surveyor, and I can guarantee that I'm going to be much cheaper than the attorney that you're going to have to pay for when a problem occurs. I like to tell everybody the story of, I take my wife's car to the garage, and a local chain auto mechanic, and you look at their wall and you may see $120, $140 an hour for one mechanic. And you're willing to pay that price.
$140 an hour.
Absolutely. I just seen it the other day when I took my wife's car to be inspected, and I almost hit the floor. And, it's a lot cheaper to hire a surveyor up front than it is to pay that attorney, who's definitely going to be charging more than that mechanic, to correct the problem later on.
Well, when you do a fence or a pool, you kind of have to do a survey, right? I mean, you really do.
You really should, depending on where you live, whether that town has zoning, whether that municipality has zoning, or whether they have a subdivision and land development ordinance, and you're going through the subdivision process prior to installing that pool or fence. They may require that survey to be done. Some of the more rural communities may not have that. They may not.
And we're
have
not talking about acreage. We're talking about your standard, right?
Right. Yep. Residential 60 by 180 in Dunmore.
Yep, absolutely. And they're going to require a survey to have your fence installed, to have your pool installed, just to make sure that
for the
it's
pool.
Most of the time, they're going to see where it would benefit you. I don't believe that their zoning is going to require it, but it's certainly a benefit to you to make sure that is on your property.
I don't want to put my pool on my neighbor's property.
Absolutely. And, even prior to that, some of the things that a surveyor can help with on that pool is, if you're going to install a pool, you may want to do landscaping around that pool as well. You may want to have the help of an engineer to install that pool, or a landscape architect to give you a good design. Surveyors are helpful to come out and take what we call a topographic survey of the area. We'll be able to locate the home. We'll be able to locate, not only the property lines, but what the grade is there. And that way it'll give you a better estimate when you come in for construction costs, as well as the placement, to be able to lay everything out on your property and ensure that it's going to look just how you want it at the end of the day. I mean, a pool is a great investment, and I would hate to see somebody have something that doesn't look well when they could have hired a surveyor for, a small fee compared to the pool construction cost.
Well, whether I have that 50 by 150 lot or 50 acres, I want to know what's mine and what isn't, and how it's defined. That's
Absolutely.
Just me. But there's a lot of people that...
There are a lot of people out there that may not be,
as concerned
as, other individuals with where their actual property is. And there are individuals out there, we see it all the time, where they think everything is their property.
You got that right. Well, buying a home is the biggest investment people are going to make in their lifetime. I would want to know what the boundaries are, exactly where it begins and where it ends.
With us today is Milnes Engineering, Construction, and Survey. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
You can give us a call to our office. You can look us up on milnescompanies.com.
How do you spell that?
MILNESCOMPANIES.com. You can do a quick Google search and find us on all our social media platforms. We are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Give us a like, give us a share. Follow along. We do a lot of really cool construction projects. Everyone likes to see those before and afters, the progression. Follow along and see all the fun things we do in the community. We're always out in the community, and it's a good time.
And what is the phone number, please?
570-836-2145.
You're located in Tunkhannock?
Yes, we are. We're at 12 Rear Hill Road, Tunkhannock, PA.
Rear Hill Road?
Freer.
What is it?
Freer.
See, this New Yorker, I don't speak Tunkhannock. What is it?
Freer.
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 Okay, good.
I like that.
Now, when I say it, it sounds completely different. Freer.
Pat, would you like to review a listing?
Oh, yes, I would. We have a 3-bedroom home. It's at
What?
a 3-bedroom home. It's at 761 Hudson Street in Forest City for $109,000. This home sits on a 40 by 150 lot with a paved driveway. It's got off-street parking and a lovely yard. The taxes are less than $2,000 a year. This home has been very well cared for. It's got large rooms, plenty of storage area, and a covered rear porch. That's a 3-bedroom home at 761 Hudson Street in Forest City for only $109,000, and that's listed by Kim Pizzanti of our office.
Thank you, Pat.
What do you got?
The worst DIY home blunders over the past year. DIY, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Open floor plan. Nobody wants the open floor plan anymore. They want to be in their separate rooms.
Actually, so since the pandemic, there's a lot of people that took matters in their own hands, of course, because we were cut off from the rest of the world and life as we knew it.
Locked up at home.
And they were locked up at home, so they decided to do some projects. But there's a lot of homeowners out there spending a lot of money to fix their failed DIY house projects. So that tells me they weren't handy, but maybe thought that they could watch some kind of video.
That's right. I watched a YouTube video. I can do a survey.
So Cinch Home Services surveyed more than 1,000 consumers about their recent do-it-yourself projects, and about 90% had taken on a DIY project during the pandemic. Millennials were the most likely to be confident in their home expertise. How am I not surprised by that? They're also the highest age group to report the largest number of DIY fails.
Oh, okay.
All right. So where are the areas of the home that were prone to DIY fails? You want to take a stab at it? The number one?
Kitchen?
You would think, but that was number two.
Bathroom.
You got it. The bathroom. Then the kitchen, then the landscaping, then the bedroom, then the living room, then the home office, then the deck, then the garage. So what were they attempting to do in those rooms? Number one, it's very simple. You're not gonna believe this.
Light fixtures.
Painting.
Painting?
Painting.
They screwed it up. Okay.
And the bathroom, what did they do? They tried to replace the shower head.
Oh, gee,
Yeah.
that's difficult.
But the third is what you just guessed. They were attempting to change a light fixture. Then another fail was plumbing fixture. I don't think I would take those matters into my own hands. As stuck at home and as bored as we could be, and I know I wouldn't. They also tried to replace flooring or a major appliance. They tried to raise flower beds. That didn't go over too well. They were power washing. I would expect that to be higher on the list.
They get a machine and they figure, let me just
I've seen
power wash
some
everything.
epic fails with the power washer.
Oh, yeah.
Some siding that was never
They wrote their name in the concrete with the tip.
Like a squirrely thing. Did you do that on purpose? No, that was the power washer gone mad.
Yeah.
Or they tried to install a window or door or floor or tile. That's another thing I don't think I would attempt.
I don't like doing tile.
So these are the things that people did, and there's more on that list, but you get the idea. So
Call a professional.
yeah, next time call a professional. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. We will be back in a few moments.
The talented team of professionals at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. They're not just real estate agents, they're agents of change. They're on a never-ending quest for the best for you and your family. They can help you find precisely what you want at this time in your life. A computer, a website, an app, and a listing by itself can't do that. They're obsessed with better and deliver extraordinary, embracing the what if, not just the what's been done before, with a level of accountability and honesty not found anywhere else in the real estate industry. Don't settle for average, okay, or just all right. This change in your life is monumental, and there's only one Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate that will help you rock that change. Call 570-344-6724 and visit jruddy.com, JRUDDY.com. Each Century 21 office is independently owned and operated.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker, and my husband, fellow realtor, Pat Devaney.
And we're back.
We're back with Milnes Engineering, Construction, and Survey. We have Lexi Langen, Business Development Leader, and Lindy LaRue, Chief Surveyor. Having a great conversation. I think Pat has a question for you, Lindy.
When you have a dispute between two neighbors, and one says this is mine and the other says this is mine, and you do the survey, and now suddenly that shed that the neighbor thought was theirs is on my property, how do you resolve that? Or the fence that the neighbor thought was on his property, but I find out it's on my property. What do you do?
That's an all too common problem that we run into. So every survey that we do, when we end up solving that boundary and we produce our map, we'll locate everything and we'll call that shed, we'll call that fence an encroachment onto a property. And we could be working for the client who is encroaching on a neighbor, or we could be working for the client and the neighbor is encroaching onto our client. And what we'll do is we'll show that encroachment on our map, and then we'll advise the client to either speak with that neighbor if they're an amicable neighbor.
Hardly.
They'll settle
never
it.
the
But
way it is.
I say that with air quotes because, as we all know, that generally doesn't happen, and that's why we're getting called in. Mm-hmm. So at that point, that becomes a legal issue, and we'll start to advise that our client, speak to an attorney about how they can then rectify that situation, whether it's their shed that has to be moved back over, they'll certainly, hopefully move it back over. And if not, if it's the neighbor's shed and they're not amicable on good terms, then that may end up being a court-related issue.
Well, what about a fence? If the fence, how far does a fence have to be off the property line?
That all depends on what the zoning regulation is for the town. I've seen some zoning regulations that may be 2 foot, and if it's a picket fence, you have to have the pickets facing your neighbor. If it's a regular chain link fence, they'll still want the outside of the fence to be facing the neighbor. Some zoning areas, they may regulate it that it's 5 feet off of the property line. Again, it all depends on where you're at. Tunkhannock may be different than Dunmore, which may be different than Taylor, which may be different than 40 Fort. Everybody's going to have their own set of zoning regulations, and they're going to be the ones that are able to guide that.
What if there's a survey that exists that is opposite or different? Listen, not opposite. What if there's a survey that exists that's different than your survey?
That happens as well. So as a surveyor, we can give our best opinion as to where the property line is. And when I say opinion, I mean it's more than an opinion because we're highly trained, we're educated, we're skilled. We've had to take multiple exams in order to become licensed land surveyors in the state of Pennsylvania. So there may be a time when someone has a different opinion as to where that property line is, who's a professional as well. And normally when that happens and there is a dispute between properties, that will end up going to court. And the court has the ultimate decision as to where that property line truly is. So
you don't flip a coin.
There is no coin flips. It would make it easier at times and certainly less costly to flip that coin.
Sure.
But
when there's a lot at stake, it has to go to court, I'm sure.
It certainly does. And, the closer you get to, larger, more metropolis areas, you will see that property values obviously go up. So people may fight over an inch in, the city of Scranton, where an inch on a mountain survey in Susquehanna County is nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we list properties and sell them, sometimes we are met with phone calls and messages to our office from the neighboring property owner telling us what the listed property we have for sale doesn't have. And in other words, or what is encroaching on their property, or we hear the dispute. And so most recently, I'm thinking of a situation where the property had a couple driveways, one on the left, one on the right, when the neighboring property said that the driveway on the right didn't belong to the house we were selling. And she wanted the current property owner who was selling the property to purchase that driveway from her. And there's nothing I can do to force anybody to buy anything. All I can do, as a broker, is advise our agents to disclose that there's a boundary line issue here, possible encroachment or whatever, that there's being used, but it's somebody else's property.
We see that as well. Generally when we first go out to a survey, the adjoiners, obviously, they're all going to be able to see our marks that are there. They're going to be able to see our employees that are out there conducting this field survey. And a lot of the times they will come over, and whether they're, able to tell us some good information, we certainly always listen to the adjoiners, because there may be something there that, is an unrecorded record that they may have. They may have that map that nobody has recorded, or they may have some recollection of something historical that, may help us within our survey. So we'll certainly listen to everything that they say. But when we go and determine that boundary and we finalize our map, I like to walk each and every property with the new purchaser or with the owner, whoever we're conducting the survey for. And when the adjoiners come out, if they have any questions, we certainly like to answer those questions. We keep all of our records in our office, and I have no problem explaining to any individual how that survey was solved, how that boundary was solved, and take them through the historical records that we've researched to show them why we have placed the boundary where we have placed it.
We have a garage behind the office, and there was a house that was behind it, and one time it was a foundry. So there was a lot of it was commercial at one time. So the homeowner comes over to me, and I was working on my car in the garage, and the person said to me, "You know that this garage is on my property?" And I looked at the person in the face, and I says, "Do you mean I've been paying rent to the wrong person for all of these years?" And I slammed the door in that person's face, because they got in my face, and I slammed the door, and then 2 days later, the surveyor was there. And guess what? It's not her garage. Actually, we gained 2 feet in the back. And I never heard another word from that person again.
Yeah, until we had the roof done, and then she said that the people that were doing the roof were doing something illegally off the roof, and then...
Oh, yeah, it was just,
It was craziness.
It was, there's no dealing with,
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes we see those hostile adjoiners, and it's just... you have to mitigate that hostility somewhere, and I try to mitigate that with as much fact as I can about that property in the survey.
Facts might get in the way.
Yes, really. I know. Don't you tell me.
Pesky facts. They get in the way every time. When somebody has a different agenda, right?
We've had one client who swore that the property line was along a hedgerow, and that hedgerow had been there for years. And fortunately for us, there are historical aerial photos that were done from the 30s, 50s, 60s, and we were able to pull the historical photo from 1930 when there was no tree line in that area and show him that, no, sir, these trees were not here when this subdivision was created. So the property line does not follow that hedgerow. It's by the monuments that were in the ground at the time that original surveyor placed. I mean, as a surveyor, we try to follow the original steps of the survey to begin with.
Good stuff. Lexi Langen, Business Development Leader. Lindy LaRue, Chief Surveyor from Milnes Engineering, Construction, and Survey. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
You guys can find us on all social media platforms. Go to milnescompanies.com. That's MILNESCOMPANIES.com. Be sure to find us on YouTube. You can see all sorts of aerial drone footage shot by Lindy LaRue about our construction sites. You can go to YouTube, follow along, see what's happening, see before and after pictures and us in the community, and follow along, like and share on Facebook.
Thank you. Would you come back next week?
Lindy, would you want to come back?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
All right, guys. See you next week.
Thank you.
Yes, we have a 4-bedroom home. It's at 124 Oak Street in Scranton for only $89,000. This lovely 2-story home sits on a covered lot with a covered rear porch, Trex decking, and a nice yard. This home has large rooms with a first-floor laundry, a large eat-in kitchen, and a fully floored attic and updated electrical. That's a 4-bedroom home at 124 Oak Street in Scranton for only $89,000, and that's listed by Kristen Barone of our office.
Remember to tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m., Sunday at 11:30 a.m. to listen to more of the Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker.